Hello, everybody. My name is Ricky Sigmoni. I am a senior technical engineer here at D&H. I'm also a Microsoft ambassador. Today, we're going to be talking about Qualcomm and Snapdragon. We're going to be talking with Microsoft. It's going to be pretty amazing. One of the things about the Qualcomms is I have two Qualcomms, which I have been doing some testing on, and it has been pretty amazing what it's done. And I know everyone talks about AI is the cloud, but the one thing about AI and Copilot Plus PCs is some of these features can all be done locally without being connected to the internet. So I had an experience where I was able to work on a presentation, run some LLMs locally, all and even having it unplugged right on my bed. And it was just amazing. I was able to do all of that in it pretty much all day, and I didn't have to worry about going and plugging anything in and running the LLMs locally, which was just amazing. So running AI local is pretty amazing with these devices. So we're going to talk a little bit more about these Qualcomm devices powered by the Snapdragon. I'm going to hand it over to Erin Marie, who will start talking about the Qualcomms.
Hi, everyone. My name is Erin Marie Mulcahy. I'm in charge of global channel partners and enterprise go-to-market. I'm joined by Mary Palerno and George Nimitz from our field application engineer, who will both chime in. But what I would love to talk to you about today is our Snapdragon proof of concept program. I know you probably have other proof of concept programs that you're used to. Ours is a little bit different. We are very well aware that this is a new platform for your partners and your customers. So, how do we ensure that every single customer has a great testing experience? I'm going to walk you through the platform itself and how we can ensure that Snapdragon belongs in the fleet and the lineup for your customers. And we've built a program to help with that decision making. So let me first start off. For those of you that are not familiar with the ARM architecture, oops, right, there we go, with the ARM architecture or what is the difference, uh, this is the Snapdragon X Elite. So we actually announced the X2 at Computex, but this is the current version that is out there. The X2 will be shipping. And it's a premium, what's called an SoC or a system on a chip. And it's designed to work with your Windows PC. Oh, I do, sorry. It is basically a culmination of a vision of what a compute processor should be. So those of you may know Qualcomm from our handset days. We are the silicon provider inside of most of the smartphones and other products, but now we've brought our technology to the PC. So over the next few minutes, I'm going to try to give you a simple term of and a breakdown of what's different from the X2 versus your current devices today. Okay. So, what you're looking at here is how most laptops are designed today, and really, actually, for the last 20 years. This is what you would refer to if you ever hear the term an x86 design versus an ARM design. So, in an x86 design, and every laptop you're probably all carrying, it uses separate components for each function. So you have the CPU, which is the brains, the discrete GPU, which is your graphics, a separate NPU where all the processing happens, cellular modem, Wi Fi, camera. And as you can see, they're scattered across the motherboard. So every time information has to travel between these components, think of it as the brain is always running, right? It costs energy, it costs time. So to that end, it really affects the customers, the end users' performance and battery life. So what Qualcomm did was, what if we took all these functions and happened into a single chip inset? you're going to generate less heat. You'll use less energy moving forward, and you'll get the AI to work a lot faster. So we've basically taken the entire motherboard and shrunk it down to the size of what would be like a postage stamp. So think of the postage stamp. Now I'm giving you a deeper dive into what's below below and inside of the chip. And why this is important is there's a lot of ARM architecture out there. But one thing about Qualcomm is we are a technology company. So if you think about the lifespan of a phone, think about how your phone falls asleep, your phone, knows what apps to work. We've basically taken that technology, and in addition to it being on the ARM processor, we've used our own technology within the ARM architecture. So if you look at the X Elite itself, it's not one processor doing anything, doing everything. So if you look back to the x86, remember I said everything on the board has to work together. What this is, it's set up of highly optimized engine, and each purpose is built for a specific type of work. So what you'll see here is the Qualcomm Orion CPU. So it's still the brain, it's still the raw compute. Then we have the Adreno GPU for the graphics. We have the Hexagon NPU dedicated entirely to AI, plus the modem, the ISP, security, audio engines, they're all on the same die. So the advantage of this approach is efficiency. Instead of the entire CPU handling everything like your legacy platforms, each task is rooted to the engine that can do it the fastest and at the lower power. So think of it as a brain. An AI application comes in, the CPU says, are you an AI application? And there's a dedicated AI engine that it's offloaded to. And why this is important, I'm going to talk to you about on the next slide. Everyone's talking about AI, but having AI within the actual chipset and the system on a chip is very important. So what you're seeing here is the difference between your x86, so Intel, AMD, versus the Snapdragon. And also what you're seeing is different type of AI applications that are running. So background blur, noise suppression, transcription, super resolution, security, and privacy. What happens is the Qualcomm Orion CPU, the GPU, and the NPU all come together, and basically they take advantage of the approach using efficiency. So instead of forcing the CPU to handle everything like the legacy platforms, each task is routed to the engine that could do it the fastest and with the lowest power. And that idea of a dedicated AI engine is so important. And I want to talk to you about that on this slide. So if you look today, and this is supposed to give you kind of an evolution of AI usages on compute platforms. Now, what I can tell you is that at Computex, we actually already announced and showed our device of doing system on a chip AI. So today, Intel, AMD, they have Windows, Studio Effects, background blur, noise suppression. Why this is important and why AI is important, and you want to, I always say, future set your customer. Everyone's talking about the AI revolution. They're probably using AI for Windows Studio Effects, the noise cancellation. But like I said, at Computex, we're already announcing that we can actually do it on the device. So on the X2 powered devices that are shipping today, we're already running Chat GPT, Class Assistant, stable diffusion, imaging generation, and gaming on the device. So over time, the AI shift towards predictive AI that anticipates what the end user needs. The real payoff here is concurrency. So if you think a single video call already stacks background blur, noise suppression, live transcription, auto framing, high tops, and I'll get into what tops is, but it basically, the higher the tops, the more efficient is your API. So a lot of devices today will run at 20 billion plus parameters to run locally. So in addition, having the AI on the NPU, it keeps the device cool. So you don't see a lot of fans on our devices, and it's able to sustain high performance and preserve the battery life. So why TOPS matters to your customer. Just to get back, TOPS, the word stands for trillions of operations per second. And it basically measures how much AI work the laptop can do on the chip. So the end user doesn't really see this number, but why it's important is the more TOPS, the better the AI experience. So if something has lower TOPS, you're going to have a sluggish experience, the battery is going to be sacrificed, and the performance is going to be lower. So if you look here, our devices on X2 and the current devices running 45 TOPS, we announced 75 TOPS. Why this matters to your end user is the AI applications are going to run faster. There's more privacy. They can work offline. They don't need to, have a plug with them. They can actually have up to 28 hours, and sometimes in the X2, we're seeing reports that George can talk to you about where the battery life is running a lot longer. So there's a lot more AI experiences without the slowdown. So just to kind of wrap up the key features, and then I'm going to turn it over to George to show you a couple of demos prior to talking about the meat of this meeting, which is the POC program. So over the next few weeks, you're going to see many of our partners announcing the X2. It's a very fast chip. The Qualcomm Orion CPU is the 12th highest performance with cores, delivering up to 2 times faster their performance versus your traditional x86. And like I said, because we come from the mobile world where we turned phones and smartphones, we deliver that performance inside that tiny nanometer at a fraction of the power, and for much longer battery life, better thermals, and slimmer designs. So I'm going to turn it over to George, who is our field application engineer, to show you some of the cool demos that highlight the benefits of AI that we covered and what it means for the customer.
Okay, thanks, Erin Marie. I'm going to go ahead and try to share my screen. Well, this is Visual Studio, okay, and what I'm going to demonstrate is, that AI code generation. Okay, so I have on the prompt here to create a simple neural network in the C language. So I'll go ahead and click on this. Okay, and now it's starting to build my code. You kind of see it in the screen flickering. And I chose the C language because if I used something like Python, it would be done in like, it would be done in like 5 seconds, because Python uses so many libraries and the code itself isn't much, just a few lines of code. C is different. I mean, it's actually building the neural network from scratch in the C language, which is one of the lowest high-level languages you could develop in. Okay, so it'll continue on, And again, it's doing code generation that's going to create an application for me, to, all through AI. I know Qualcomm itself is there are our development environments are actually starting to use AI, automatic AI generation code as well. So we're definitely taking advantage of this feature as well. Supports any language that you want, but it just gives you an idea of the power of AI, especially when it comes for code generation. It'll be done in just another minute. And while while it's being done, or this is happening, you could well, I can't show you. I can't. That's why I wanted my screen. My NPU is like spiking. Okay, so it's done code generation. Okay, and that's the code. That's the entire code that it wrote for me to create a neural network. Okay, so that's one demo. Okay, and I don't know if I could quickly bring this up. I guess not. The other demo I have is Cephable. Okay, and you kind of saw it. Tell me if you could see this right here. Could you see a blue window here?
Yes, we can see the blue window.
Yeah, okay. So if I click on this, it's going to come up. Well, it was working prior to this demo.
Maybe we could go back and show the ones in the presentation then on slide 13, or
right,
even 14.
Okay.
That's the one that came from
slide 13.
Yeah, or 14.
Okay. Well, all right. Well, anyway, the whole point is that of this exercise is that if I go here and I exit out of here and I look at Task Manager, if I, you see text, do you see my screen with the NPU?
Yeah.
So now, by the way, the NPU is working, and prior to this call, it was flatlined. Nothing was happening. Okay. And evidently, this tool itself that we're using to do this presentation is using the neural processing unit. So this tool is actually taking advantage of the NPU within the Snapdragon environment. Okay, so I'm going to click out of that. I'm going to bring up a presentation. Okay, so out of the box, we showed you two applications. We showed you code generation with Visual Code Studio, okay, which is here. And we showed Cephable, okay, which what Cephable is basically it's a hands-free AI environment, and it's specifically used by handicapped people, okay, where they can't interact with a keyboard. So it works on voice and head movement. So you can really work with your laptop with head movements, okay, with Cephable, okay. But just wanted you to know that there's a fair amount of other applications that are out of the box using the NPU, okay, and that become available as soon as you become part of the Snapdragon and Copilot AI environment from Microsoft. Okay. Now, hopefully do you see the, okay. Do you see the next slide? LLMware AI.
Yes, we do.
Hello? Oh, okay, good. I'm bringing this up because, this is a really interesting tool because, it's all about AI, and it's really, the whole, it's really going to take power, and we're really starting to see it now where people are going to be running AI on the edge. Okay. And, and again, Qualcomm is a chip company. Okay. And again, we're into robotics, we're into IoT, we're into automotive, big time in automotive, and so it's all on the edge, and same with laptop. Okay. Laptop's environment. So what this allows you, where AI allows you to do is without knowing any code, you could develop your own AI RAG environments. Now, RAG is retrieval augmented generation, which is basically a small version of an LLM dedicated to your data. Okay, so you can create a tool on your own with this product, okay, that allows you to be more efficient at your job or whatever it may be. And just to show you, see the next screen? And it's really kind of like defining your what they call nodes, which are pockets of tasks you want your LLM to do, okay? And you just link them together, okay? And you have an application that you can distribute to your whole team if you wanted to. Okay, now I'm going to switch gears because there's something I definitely want to talk about is...
You know what, George? I'm so sorry we only have 5 minutes left and I have to talk about the POC program. But what I would say to everyone on the team is George is a wealth of knowledge. He's one of our top field application engineers. And when I talk through the POC program, you'll find we have a white glove process, and George can walk your customers through what applications they may have that have AI and all these different demos, and we can do it offline. Sorry, George.
Okay, and that's fine. The only thing I wanted to note here is, the big value of the Snapdragon laptop, okay, as a hardware platform is its battery life. Okay, so what these are all various different benchmarks, okay, showing that when we unplug a Snapdragon laptop, we're only dropping down this like less than 10% of performance. This is Intel. So when you unplug an Intel device with its low battery life, okay, it has to drop down to these percentages, okay, to be able to have any kind of battery life at all. And that's all I wanted to note. So, okay, I'll stop there.
So I tried to give you kind of an overview of the difference between x86, our system on a chip platform, and George kind of emphasized the importance of the AI on device and why it matters to your performance. But what I really wanted to talk to you about today is our proof of concept program. And I'm sure you're all used to a proof of concept program from all your other silicon providers. But ours is a little different. And it's different because we understand that your customers have been testing the same devices for 20 years. Their environments are all set up for Intel and AMD. So what we've tried to do is shrink down the trial program, but also offer what we call a white glove treatment to your testers. So we provide technical support from before the POC trial begins to address any application blockers. We provide support at setup, so we ensure that it works in their environment. There's no MDM issues, no printer issues. If your testers are not familiar with the Snapdragon architecture, there's a few modifications. Once they do it once, they're fine, but initially the setup, there are a few modifications required from the traditional testing. So in addition to that, there's support throughout the 4-week trial. Any issues or questions that come up, we not only provide literature, you can see the list of pieces and everything that we have here that goes out, but we also have our field engineers and testers available so that your end user has a great experience. And the reason why this is important is what we found throughout our proof of concepts over the past 4 years is once a end user uses the product as their everyday product, the sales conversion rate is much higher. So the goal is we want them to be comfortable on the platform. We want you to be comfortable and ensure that you can do your selling and you have the technical support to provide to you on any questions the customer may have as they move into a new platform. And then the next slide, let me just take you through what a typical POC 4-week period looks like. So this is basically a structure. And if you look at the 4-week cadence, each week has a specific goal. So there's no guessing. Your customer and you know what is coming next. If they want to do any pre-testing, that's available as when. We provide installation and IT readiness tool ahead of time. So it helps you qualify if a customer is going to run into any application issues. It was just announced at Computex. We have actually 750 native applications. That's kind of something that people are not aware of. We've come a really long way in a year. 200 of them are global applications. So that, just helping your customers identify, they may have some legacy applications. We're able to identify that upfront and say whether it's in testing or whether it's something that we can support with the beta. By week 2, we're kicking off having a kickoff call, review the IT readiness. We're also week 3, we provide testing, MDM management tool, validating the MDM, and then week 4 is actually the application testing. And it's really, like I said, it's a great path. We've seen a lot of success where not only have homegrown apps that are running, but custom Intune profile is built by our Qualcomm IT, a print workshop. You'll see down here, there's additional workshops that are available if your customers want them. So we're not only helping them test the product, but we're educating them on the ARM platform and on testing it and setting it up in their system. So let me just, this is our slide before I just tell you a few use cases that we've seen since we've launched this with D&H. But essentially it starts with you sending your customer, Josh. The customer will complete a short POC survey. Josh will ship the device. He schedules the POC workshop with our FAE and account team internally for additional support. And from there, the workshop covers the essentials. After the workshop, the customer receives their full set of POC resources. We schedule follow-up sessions with subject matter experts if they need it. But the structured feedback is exactly what produces the success stories that I'm going to talk about and I'll finalize on. So I'll just close out with some use cases and actual customers who have run this program through D&H. First, there was a distribution use case where a partner tested the Lenovo ThinkPad. The testing was complete. They utilized our technical support. Ongoing communication happened throughout the trial, and the device is now being integrated into a fleet that they can offer for their own employees moving forward. The second use case is a reseller, also testing the Lenovo T14. Their engineers are completing the testing now, but throughout the entire trial, their goal was to add Snapdragon devices to their portfolio once their testing wraps. And the feedback has been extremely positive. We've been able to address blockers. We've been able to support them with calls on things that they ran into during the trial. And then the third one is very exciting. It's a large end user, an IT infrastructure specialist at a major tire company is testing the HP Snapdragon device. There were app blocker concerns. They didn't think that the applications were going to work. We were able to provide technical support and resolve the issues quickly, and they're in their final stages of testing. So the feedback has been very positive, and their goal is also to migrate to Snapdragon. So I will finish it up there. I know we're a little bit over time, and I apologize for all the technical details on our end, but if there are any questions or anyone has any questions about the POC program, you're welcome to talk to anyone on the Qualcomm team, or Josh is our key contact within D&H.
Perfect. Thank you so much. Hello, everyone. My name is Josh Rodriguez, different from the other Josh, but I'm here from Microsoft to tell you about how great Microsoft is, Copilot Plus PCs, and why everything that was just mentioned and why those NPUs are so great. So let's start off and talk about the canvas for AI. We know that right now, when it comes to Microsoft, Windows is the canvas for AI. And what we mean by that is it is the best place to use AI. It is built for, structured for, and created specifically for that purpose. What I want you to understand is a lot of times people think, they get concerned. Right? They say to themselves, I don't like AI. AI worries me. It scares me. Or even worse, AI is going to take my job. But let me tell you, that's not the case. But what is the case, what will take your job, is someone who embraces and uses AI better than you do. We want to be leading the pack. We don't want to be behind and catching up. So when it comes to AI, we definitely want it to be exactly the way Windows says. We want it to be our canvas. So I want you to understand that AI is here to help us. It's help us to be a better version of ourselves. Okay, we're still the artists here. We're still the Michelangelos, the Da Vincis. And Windows 11 is simply that canvas. AI is just another tool, another brush, another color on our palette that allows us to create our masterpiece. And speaking of masterpieces, let me tell you why Windows and Copilot Plus PCs will help you get there. First and foremost, we want to understand that Windows means business. And yes, it means it both ways. Not only does Windows mean business, because when you think of business and you think of small business, large business, you immediately think of Windows. But we also want you to understand that Windows, we mean business. We're serious about AI and being the forefront and the place where AI gets done. Well, when you think about how Windows is better, well, we just know that as a business, you're going to run not only better, but smarter on Windows. You look at these numbers, you're going to see better productivity, better performance, better security, better IT agility. But I really want you to understand is this is the place to do business because it's simply better. Not only are we faster, we're more secure, but this is where the future is. Because we know that when it comes to AI, you have some that are on cloud, you have some that are on-prem, that are local. But we know that while there are some great benefits in the cloud, and being on-prem provides a lot of security and some great features, when you combine them both and have that hybrid environment, that's truly peak performance. That is when your system, your infrastructure, your environment is at its absolute best. That is what makes the difference. And now we know that Windows 11, it's the software answer to AI, right? It's where AI performs best software-wise. It's the best operating system for artificial intelligence. But we knew that wasn't enough. We knew we needed to create something that was better, something that was there in the hardware space. And that's why Copilot Plus PCs exist. A Copilot Plus PC is the place for AI experiences. Now, I know that we talked a lot so far about what NPUs are, the tops, and all of that. But I want to just take a little step back. Maybe we don't really truly grasp what it is or how it works. So let's just go over it very, very simply. Terms that we need to know going forward. First and foremost, we all know what a CPU is, right? It's the brain of the computer. It's what tells everything what to do. It's essentially exactly what it sounds like, right? It's the central processing unit. It's the hub. It's what tells everything what to do, okay? You also have things like a GPU, the graphics processing unit. Now, they're built to render graphics, to create images, to spike things up. For all my gamers out there, you know you need a GPU to play the top end. But I want you to understand something else. When a CPU was created, when a GPU was created, they were created for specific purposes. AI wasn't even a thought. AI was only found in movies like Star Trek, Star Wars, and all those fantasy movies, okay? When a CPU was created, that was its purpose. When its GPU was created, that was its purpose. Now, when AI experiences were created, can a CPU and a GPU process AI experiences? Absolutely, they can. I'd be lying if I told you they couldn't. But that's not their primary function. It's not what they were made for. Now, me, I love a good steak, right? That's my favorite thing. One of my favorite things to eat is a good steak. And there's a place, a specific restaurant that I go to, and I absolutely love their steak. I always get the same thing. You know, I get a porterhouse, I get it medium, I get a nice sear on it. I absolutely love it. But I know at that restaurant, there's a head chef. And the head chef typically isn't the person preparing my steak. No, that's the chef who's in charge of the meat station. So I want you to think of that in the same mindset. Think of your computer as a restaurant. Your CPU is that head chef. It's telling everyone what to do. It's checking everything, making sure, but it's not the one that's specifically doing these things. When it comes to the meat station, think of that as the GPU. The GPU is the chef that's in charge of the meat station. They're making sure the meat is cooked perfectly, it's primed, it's ready to go, and it's going to taste amazing. But what happens when I say, wow, this steak was fantastic, but you know what? I want a little dessert. I want a tiramisu. I want a cheesecake. Well, guess what happens? Well, the CPU and the GPU, they look at each other, they go, can you do that? I can. It's not my primary function, but I can do it, right? Then the GPU goes, I can do it, but again, it's not what I'm made to do, but yeah, I can do it. And how great is that dessert really going to turn out? What they need, what they require is a pastry chef. A chef whose only purpose is to create decadent and delicious pastries. That is what the NPU is. The NPU is our pastry chef. Because when it comes to AI experiences, no one can perform like an NPU. Because that's the sole purpose of the NPU. And the reason why is because, as we talked about with TOPS, while the CPU and the GPU can process hundreds, thousands, millions, even billions of operations every single second, it's an NPU that can process trillions of operations every single second. And that's what makes a Copilot Plus PC so special. Because Copilot Plus PCs, at a bare minimum, process 40 trillion operations every single second. And as you saw before, we know those numbers are only going to increase. Now, what does that actually look like? Well, let me show you. Here, you're going to see an NPU, GPU, and a CPU. And what we're asking them to do is something simple. Identify faces in a video feed. You're going to notice that this NPU is going to race ahead. It's going to be significantly faster than the GPU and the CPU, to the point where the GPU and the CPU, they're going to turn their fans on because they're overheating. That's the power and process of an NPU. Now, I know that this may be difficult to understand, so I asked my digital assistant, Copilot, I said, hey, Copilot, can you do me a favor? Can you create some kind of illustration that even my 6-year-old daughter would understand? And this is what it came up with. As you can see here, the CPU is trying to pull it off and make a dessert. The GPU is trying to use raw power to make it happen. But it's the NPU that easily does it. Because when we talk about devices, we're no longer just thinking about a single PC. Now we have 3 different categories. You have your Pro PCs, your Pro AI PCs, and your Copilot Plus PCs. Now, what's the differentiator between the three of them? The NPU. Your Pro PCs have no NPU. They're 100% cloud-based. Your Pro AI PCs, they have an NPU, but your NPU is anywhere between 10 to 15 tops. So again, it's kind of like what we call the appetizer, the amuse-bouche, okay? It's not the whole steak. You're just getting a little taste of it. But when you want the creme de la creme, the absolute best, it is the Copilot Plus PC. The Copilot Plus PC brings the absolute best in AI experiences. And the reason for that is because not only is it able to process these AI experiences faster, better, and seamlessly, but it's able to do them offline. That's right. These NPUs are so powerful that the AI experiences that you know and love, and some of them that you haven't even experienced yet, are able to be processed locally and offline. Now, what does that do? Well, it makes everything better. It improves the quality of the device. It makes it better. Think about this. Your CPU and your GPU are no longer struggling to process those AI experiences. Instead, your NPU is doing it, which prolong the longevity and performance of your CPU and your GPU. And that's what makes this device so great. But the NPU doesn't stop there. Because you probably have heard tales and stories of so many millionaires and celebrities who have mansions that cost so much money, yet they're spending hundreds on security. That's not the case here. Because with NPUs, with that AI, we're able to create a more secure PC than ever. And that's why we have Secure Core PC. It's able to guard against these attacks that's designed for these specific scenarios. But more importantly, we did something even better. For those who don't know how an NPU actually works, here's a little visualization of what an NPU actually looks like. It's directly on the CPU. And the reason for that is because now, with the power of an NPU, we can use something called Microsoft Pluton. Microsoft Pluton is able to integrate hardware and software protection within the CPU. So even if someone somehow does have physical possession of your device, you can rest assured knowing your device is still secure. It's able to protect your identity, cryptographic keys, and many more, all because of that power of that NPU. That's the difference. And because we're able to do so many things, we're also able to have some great exclusive Copilot Plus PC AI experiences and features. Now, some of them aren't exclusive. You still have them on your AI PCs, but they get that next step. They're just significantly better on Copilot Plus PCs. Things like improved window search, click to do, and agent in settings. But there are some that are exclusive to Copilot Plus PCs, like live captions or Windows Studio effects, or one of my favorites, Recall. Now with Recall, you can simply use natural language to find what you're looking for and create an experience that, honestly, no one else can match. Let's take a quick look at how Recall works. And hopefully the video will load and we'll be able to see Recall in action. Well, no worries. It looks like the video isn't working or functioning, but that's not a problem. The way that Recall works is it's able to immediately search what you're looking for using natural language. So if for any reason you're trying to find something you don't remember, right, you can just simply describe it. You can say red walls, and it'll be able to find a couple of images, maybe a link to a catering event that you were trying to get to. Maybe you're trying to search for that PowerPoint presentation, and all you can remember is that it had green lines. You can type that in, and it's able to locate it, or maybe even a text. With Recall, we don't have to worry about forgetting anything ever again. We can simply allow Copilot Plus PC to take care of the rest. Remember, the idea behind a Copilot Plus PC isn't to do everything for you. It's to do things that you're already doing and getting that monotonous work out of the way. There's so many of us that do tasks that we're constantly doing, and we think to ourselves, man, this is just a time waster. I could probably do this in my sleep. I'll tell you a true story. In my home, I do the laundry and I wash dishes. Those are like my two things that, I don't want my wife to do. I want to be able to take care of them. So those are the two big things. Now, I absolutely detest them. I don't like washing clothes and I don't like washing dishes because for me, I understand, I get it. Okay, great, I have clean dishes. Okay, I have clean laundry. But to me, it's not rocket science to do it. It's just time consuming. And I wish there was a way that I could just press a button and at least it would just be getting washed, right? Like it would already be loaded in the dishwasher, or the clothes would be loaded in the, in the laundry. Fortunately, that's not the case yet. But that's just time wasters, right? Things that I know that I can do that just take up my time. And that's the idea with a Copilot Plus PC, is how can we get you some of that time back? You know that you can't buy time. But maybe we can save it. Because as of right now, we know that users who are taking advantage of a Copilot Plus PC and all of its AI features are saving 5 hours per week. Now, you can look at it any way you want. But imagine if I could tell you, simply by using this device, you'll go home 1 hour earlier every day. That's huge. That's significant. Because again, when we may not be able to buy time, we can definitely help you save it. And the best place to do it is with Windows 11. It's the canvas for AI. That's the best place to do it. So whether you want to be a Pro PC customer and migrate to an AI PC customer and just get a taste and a feel for what it has, or whether you're currently an AI PC person and you want to go to Copilot Plus PC and see what all the noise, what all the hype is about, and see that it does ring true, you know that the best place for AI is with Windows 11. And with that being said, I want to thank everyone. Thank you all for sitting through this presentation. I know we had some technical issues, but the best part about it is we persevered. So thank you for my portion of this. I want to thank everyone, and just close by saying that at Microsoft, we believe that you have the power. We want to empower everyone else in the world to achieve more. And you did that today by being on this presentation, by being here and listening, by going through, not allowing the technical issues to stop you. You persevered. So thank you. And all I ask is that you take the information you got today, everything that we've presented for you, and you impact someone else. You empower someone else to achieve more. Thank you all so much. Richie, back to you.
All right. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today for this webinar. It was amazing. I'm sure you all learned a lot here on the Qualcomm PCs and some of the Copilot Plus features on these devices. Thanks once again. Bye.